This is going to be a very special episode. We are going to journey into the world of Viking Age plant dyeing. Today, we are stepping back in time to explore the techniques and the colours and the traditions that shaped the textiles of the Viking world. I'm teaming up with Anna, an experienced reenactor and historian specializing in garments and textile production and plant dyeing of the Viking Age. I have brought my own fabric to see if I can learn a bit of the craft and maybe leave here today ready to get dressed in the finest fashion a Viking could ever wish for.
My name is Anna and I work here in the Ribe Viking Center. My background is that I'm a historian. And in my spare time for the past 20 years or so, I have been doing a lot of plant dyeing, a lot of coloring different kinds of fabrics with plants. That brought me all the way here to Ribe. And today my position here in the center is, aside from being a historian and aside from doing a lot of different things, I'm in charge of textiles. And that means that I'm also in charge of coloring, dyeing all the fabric, all the wool and the linen that we use when we make Viking Age garments such as the one I'm wearing. So all of the colors you see here, I have a red scarf, I have a blue string on my hair, I have a brown dress. This is all made with different plants. We grow all the plants here in the center so that we can show how the plant looks like to the audience, but also so we can harvest and do the dyeing here in the center. So I have everything behind my little house. I have a color garden, we call it, and it's filled with small plants that looks really boring when you look at them, but if you know how to treat them, they will give you the most beautiful colors for your wool and your linen fabrics. And today we're coloring blue with indigo. I will also show you the woad plant that was used probably here in Scandinavia in the Viking Age to make the blue. We are going to color red using the root of madder, and we're coloring brown using walnut shells. What we are going to color with the plants today is we're going to color a lot of fabric. For Rasmus needs a new Viking tunic. We are going to color some fabric for scarves. That's all wool. We will make some sewing thread and some nice colors. And then I have a blanket and I have some more fabric that will be turned into hopefully a very beautiful blue dress. So those are some of the projects we have going here today.
I have tried my own hand at plant dyeing years ago. I have dyed light brown with walnuts, yellow with onion skins, and deep green with the reeds growing in the marshes. I was fumbling my way through the process, and the end result was decent. But I am hoping to learn more and get some hands-on experience. It is a warm day in spring here, and with 6 fires going under big pots and cauldrons, it takes a lot of effort to chop firewood and maintain the heat. It surely brings the sweat on my brow, but Anna knows exactly what she's doing and what is going on at each fire and in each of the cauldrons.
Det bliver den der, du snakker om den der vinfarve der nu.
Det satser jeg på. Det plejer det. Today the goal is for us to go from beautiful white virgin wool and to give it some very vibrant colors. One of the baths we have today contains the root of madder, and that will make a beautiful red. But to make the transition from white to red, we have to first prepare the wool. We have to prepare it in a big water pot that we heat up, and in the water we add a mineral. In Danish it's called alun. In English it's called an aluminium salt, and this will help the color molecules from the plants to attach to the wool. So it acts like a kind of Velcro between the white wool and the red color. So we hope to make this transition. So first we heated up the water, we added the mineral, we let it sit for 1 hour. We let it sit until it was dissolved in the water, and we placed it there for roughly about an hour. You can also do 2 hours if you like. But then we took it from the water bath and into the color bath, and that's when the magic happens.
It is important to have a good feeling on how hot the different pots are. And Anna uses her hand and fingers as a gauge to check the temperature. And throughout the process, Anna is moving colder and warmer water from pot to pot in big wooden buckets to fine-tune the balance.
When I started coloring more than 20 years ago, I was told that the reason that we use alun is to open the wool fibers so it can absorb the color. But then I learned later on that that's not true. It acts as a Velcro, as I mentioned before. It makes the color molecules hold on to the alun, and then it can hold on to the wool. So it gives a deeper and a more even color when you do the coloring, and that's why we hope that we will make the white turn red today.
Sådan uld her, det kan jo ikke lide at blive vådt. Så man skal sådan tvinge det lidt til at blive vådt.
Ja.
Ellers så kan man godt få sådan nogle skjolder på det, fordi hvis jeg folder det ud nu, så vil du også se, der er sådan
Anna tells me that wool is a magnificent material for textiles. Its qualities for dyeing, but also water resistance, made it a favorite choice for garments back in the Viking Age. We have to be careful not to shock the wool fibers. We start by dipping the wool in lukewarm water and slowly heat it up so that when it goes into the cauldron with the alun, the difference in the temperature is not too big. If shocked by temperature, the wool fibers will start to twist and shrink and begin to felt.
På Island, og vi er oppe her i sommer, og på Island har de jo ikke samme tilgang til træ. Og det gik ret hurtigt over lidt tid deroppe.
Ja.
Hvor Danmark lægger så store toldafgifter på import af plantefarvet stof. Og så rører vi lige en gang imellem, så det ikke synker til bunds. Og det er jo fordi nede på bunden er I have some examples of some dried plants that I use for dyeing. One of my favorites here is called common tansy in English. It's a weed, and it grows along fields, it grows along roads today. Some people might also be fighting them in their gardens. They are considered a weed, but actually it's a very old dyeing plant. It gives a very beautiful yellow. It gives a yellow like this one here that you can see, and depending on what time of the year you pick it and use it, you get different kinds of yellows. So if you take it in the autumn, it's a deeper yellow. If you take it in the spring, it's like this. It's almost like a lime color, very vibrant, very beautiful. You use the entire plant, so I just took the top of it, but it has a long stem, and you use everything because it has color in all part of the plant. You can even color with it in the spring before it makes the buds. It gives a beautiful yellowish green. Here I have an example of one of the oldest known color plants from Europe, dyeing plants. This is called Reseda, and today here in Scandinavia it grows mainly in Denmark, and if you're lucky enough to find it, you will find it along the beaches on rocky sandy soil. it's hard to get to grow really good in your own garden because it likes to have very sandy, poor soil and not like a rich, fat garden soil. It's a bit like hay fodder. It looks like something you would give to a rabbit or you might feed a goat or something. But that's simply because with the common tansy, you can use the entire plant to make the most beautiful yellows, and you can get most incredible strong yellow with this. And recent studies of a garment here from Denmark, from the Marmengrave, has shown that it was not actually red, which was the original thought when they started to analyze it many years ago. Recent analysis has shown that it was actually yellow, and it might even have been colored with reseda. It might have been like a very vibrant yellow like the sun. So perhaps the rich Vikings also were yellow. That was not only a color for the poor, for the common person.
Kan man se, hvordan det sådan har lagt sig som sådan et låg.
It is possible to find exact recipes for certain specific colors and shades, but today Anna and I are using rough measures and guessing the temperature a bit to simulate the conditions that the Vikings would have worked in back in the time. But we try to keep our color baths between 60 degrees Celsius and below the point of boiling. That gives us some room to work and be creative with the end result.
Så skal jeg nok lige tage det op til dig. Begynder det at tage noget farven nu.
Hurtigt, mand.
Prøv hvis den bliver koblet lidt ud.
Shit. Det var det her med at gøre, ikke? Komme ind og hjælpe dem til at faktisk gerne vil blive bedre.
Og den jo, den er jo brandvarm. Og den der er gryde er brandvarm. Så det passer sammen. Så tror jeg sagtens, vi kan drive nok farve ud til at... Så ligesom med den der derovre, så en gang imellem vender vi lige den her. Så den ikke synker helt til bunds.
Altså, vi vil gerne stoppe til at ligge som sådan en. Ja.
Fordi ellers det der kommer op, det får ikke altid helt så meget farve, som det ligger længere. Men der kan også godt være forskel på ulden, forskel på hvad for nogle fibre det er lavet af, hvor godt de tager imod. Skal vi ikke bare have 10 minutter? Man kan også snyde, hvis man... nogle gange kan man være heldig. Så sådan, du kan trykke det ned.
Skal man sådan være forsigtig med at lægge det på, så man ikke får det
Nej, det behøver du
drejet mere rundt, end hvad godt er?
ikke. Nej, så kan du bare vende skeen om, hvis du vil.
Nå, ja,
Så kan du dutte det ned i sammen med stof.
Ja.
It will stay in the madder bath for 1 to 2 hours. You can leave it in longer if you like. That depends on how much time you have, how much patience you have. But we keep the temperature of the water at around 60 degrees because we want the most red color notes. We want to draw them out. And today we cheated a little bit. So instead of just making a red like this one, only with madder, we added in a bit of walnut shells that usually gives the beautiful brown color that my dress is. And when we mix the two, we might get a darker wine red, and that's a really nice color to have, especially in the Viking Age. So we hope that we can make make the red turn darker today in that way. When we look at the fragments of clothing, of textiles from the Viking Age, what we can often see is the end result of a long process. It's the garment when it was probably at its peak, when it was beautiful enough to become the clothes of often a wealthy person being buried. But what happened before that, all of the process leading up to that point where you have a finished piece of clothing, where you have a tunic or you have a dress and everything is sewn, everything is colored perfectly. What happened before that and how did it look? That's what we can attempt at least to get an idea of when we do the whole plant dyeing here, when we do the whole process. We kind of experiment because we have a lot of blank spots regarding this craft. There is a lot of things that we don't know about plant dyeing in the Viking Age and in the times before that, and we only can attempt to get closer at an answer if we try to do the process in different ways. And here today we used a lot of water. If we had had more time, we could also maybe do a coloring where we just let the plants sit in the water, where we put the pot out in the sun or in the shadow, and we let time work with it, and we ferment the colors instead of boiling them out or heating them out. But again, that's a different experiment. Today we tried with the water, and we'll see what result we get in a minute when we take it out of the pot.
Folder vi det ud, og så ryster vi det bare her ved siden af båden. Ja, præcis.
Som du synes, der var kultivatoren, du synes, der var kort. Der kan man få en med kultivator, og så kan du vente, og så skubber jeg på den anden side. Er den noget lort?
Jeg brugte bare at gå ned i... Vi har så heldig at have lille bæk i baghaven.
Ja.
Den brugte jeg, da jeg plantede farve, så stod jeg derude og skyllede alt muligt.
Det gør jeg også med de store stykker her. Gå ned i jorden. Ja. Det er jo perfekt at have det derhjemme.
Ja.
Synes jeg, det ser ud som om, men det er spændende, når den tager op. Nogle gange så ændrer det sig fuldstændigt.
Sådan. Så kører de der handsker, de køber ned et eller andet sted.
Some of the dyes were very valuable for the Vikings, and here we try to collect as much as the excess water as possible when we rinse the fabric.
Det er faktisk en rigtig lækker uld det her, for du kan se, det hænger næsten ikke fast i.
Jeg kan godt se, det var...
Det er faktisk næsten skræmmet af. Sådan der.
Så vi kan folde det.
Så tror jeg, vi folder den midt på. Masser af farve i det her vand endnu.
Ja. Tror du, vi taber meget ved at, når det er så vask, når man vasker det?
Det tror jeg ikke.
Tror du, vi er tæt på den?
Jeg tror, vi er ret tæt på.
Final product.
The fabrics are left to dry and cool off, and once satisfied with the color, the fabric is flushed in clean water to get rid of excess dye and possible leftovers of the plant material.
Nej, det kommer her. Det er ikke så varmt. Jeg kan godt se, her bliver der lidt noget snaller.
Ja, det skal lige om lidt. Skal vi starte træk?
Kommer det lige så fint i orden? When it comes to plant coloring, plant dyeing in the Viking Age, we know that all of the pieces of fabric that has been found from the Viking Age, usually it's found in graves. When we look at it under a microscope, we can see that it was dyed with plants, that all the pieces of fabric we have found, they were colored. The Viking Age wasn't a gray, brown, white period of time. That's usually a misconception, that people would just wear the fabric in the color of the sheep that had provided the wool, for instance, but that's not true. Even linen dresses, linen shirts would have been colored if you were wealthy enough, obviously, to have it done so. But that's what we know from the Viking Age. Everybody would color. We have an understanding of plant dyeing in the Viking Age that it would happen in every farmstead, in every home. You would have a home production of wool. You would have maybe also a home production of linen, and then you would color it. When the seasons were right, when you could harvest the plants, you would give your clothes color. So just like today, people love vibrant colors, and it was not any different back in the days. People have always been wanting to impress others with how you appear, and color is a big part of that.
Det kan jeg overhovedet ikke følge med til.
Så det er derfor, du har
Ja, og plus det er for børn.
Ja.
Så derfor er det langt pause. Man kan godt mærke, at jeg har svært ved at blive ro i.
Ja.
I verden.
Ja.
Anna had promised to show me how the color blue can be obtained by the use of indigo.
Sådan. Fedt. Super.
The Vikings might have also used the plant woad for dyeing blue, but imports of indigo was also a possibility. There is some chemical processes at play here, and it is important that there is no air bubbles in the wool and that the wool is completely submerged, as the magic happens in the absence of oxygen.
Så begynder det allerede nu.
Ja, det gør sgu så.
Så kan du se, om du kan få fat i noget af det øverste her, men det er sådan, du kan holde det.
Ja.
Godt. Så begynder vi at løfte herop. De første bevæg, de kramme lidt.
Det er intens. Duftmæssigt.
Mega intens.
Det ser fedt ud. Så bliver det blåt.
Så tager vi lige. Jeg ved lige henover den her spand.
Ja.
The fabric stays in the bath for around 10 minutes before coming up. And look very closely here. This is the most magic part of the whole thing.
Vi har lidt finder hjørnerne, ikke også?
Ja, sådan et eller andet. Lad os lige starte ind og kende op på verden.
For the first few seconds, the fabric appeared to be green, but then turns to the most magnificent blue within moments after coming into contact with the air.
Ja, det kunne være fedt at gøre.
Så er noget spændt.
Ja, det er det godt. Jeg ved ikke, om det er fordi, man bare har hørt så meget, du ved, at blå er royal, men om det er derfor, man føles royal, og se den her farve ned over sine fingre. Det er bare sådan en århundredes symbolik, der er jo ikke nedarvet ind i.
Et eller andet, ikke?
Anna repeats the process for some of the garments and for some of the fabrics for an even deeper and more intense shade of the color.
Det har jeg ikke teknik til, Anna, åbenbart.
Kommer I.
Ja.
When we do an experiment like we did here today, when we do the plant dyeing, we also get an idea of the amounts of work, of hard work, hard labor that goes into a craft like this. It makes you understand how, in order to get a finished piece of clothing in the Viking Age, even before you get to the dyeing part, you have the whole production of the textile, you have the shearing of the sheep, you have working with the wool, washing it, combing it, spinning it, weaving it, all of these different processes that takes so many hours and a lot of hard labor to do. And it really makes you treasure your end product, your final product, in a different way than you probably do today with your clothing, because it's so easy for us today to just go out and buy a new piece of clothes if we need it. But in the Viking Age, it would have been a whole different setup to get just one piece of finished garment. You would have had maybe several people involved, and you would definitely have a lot of resources and a lot of time spent on it. And that's also an understanding we get when we work with it like we do here today. I think that in the end you will cherish your red tunic or your brown dress even more than if you had just bought it already colored.
I have learned so much, and I'm really looking forward to try my hand at this craft again on my own. It was great to spend some time with Anna and get a glimpse into her wide knowledge and experience in Viking Age textile production and plant dyeing. I always feel at awe and very humble in the presence of people like Anna, who dedicated so much of their time and their life to learn and master a craft, and still are so willing to pass it on and take their time to share their experience. Today, I definitely feel that I've been shaking hands with my forefathers. And you can do it too. Anna has promised to share some tips on how to get started, so if you want to try plant dyeing for yourself, stick around.
When you want to get starting doing plant dyeing, if you want to try this out at home, it's really easy, and I really urge everyone who wants to try and do it. All it takes is a pot. You can have an enamel, you can have a steel one, you can have a copper, you can have it doesn't really matter. Stay away from the iron pots though. But just any regular pot in your kitchen, heat some water and try to boil some plants, just like you would make a big pot of tea. If you are in doubt on what colors to pick, a good tip is to look for the plants that the animals won't eat in the fields. So if you live close to cows or sheep or horses, the plants that are left behind, they're usually old color plants because they are very bitter and they usually give a yellow color. So for instance, the common tansy, like this one here, you will see that being left alone in the field. Then you can go out and pick it and you can boil it like you would make a big cup of tea. So really just try. There are also different web pages where you can buy already dried color plants. You can heat them up yourselves, and that's a good idea if you want to make the red color, for instance, to buy some root of madder and just boil it, and you get the color out. So trial and error, and also look for old color books. If you go to a second-hand store, there's usually a hobby section in the book section, and there should be books on plant dyeing, and they have a lot of good tips on how to get started.
I parted with Anna and left the Viking town of Ribe behind, with a big, thick piece of wool fabric for a new tunic that I hope to sew this coming autumn, dyed brown with walnuts, and a smaller piece of fabric, thin, fine wool dyed deep and rich red with madder mixed with walnuts, that I hope at some point to turn into small scarves for me and my family. Thank you so much for watching. It was an absolute pleasure having you along. I really hope you enjoyed what you saw here. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below, and I will answer to the best of my ability. And if we get into the more technical stuff of the plant dyeing process that I myself cannot answer, I will try and see if we can get Anna on board and maybe help answer some of your questions. I highly appreciate that you guys want to see these kind of videos and engage with them. It's a great feeling it gives me a great feeling of community, and it's a good way to pass on and share some of the reenactment experience. But it also does take a lot of time and effort, planning, and sometimes also economy to make these videos. So if you want to support the project here, you can head over to Patreon. I'll put a link below, and you can consider becoming a patron by donating a small monthly amount to help me along on this journey. It would be very much appreciated, and if you don't want to do it, it is absolutely okay. So that's it for now. Stay safe until we see each other again, and thanks for watching.